we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, even on election day. And that's really what I want to talk about today, how to laugh at ourselves. I've heard it said that if laughter is the best medicine, then laughing at ourselves should be a real wonder drug. We've probably all embarrassed ourselves at different times, putting our foot in our mouth, tripping, spilling something at inappropriate times. And no doubt as Buddhists, we have also embarrassed ourselves when our anger or jealousy or pride overrode our more rational and altruistic thoughts. We've all had that experience. You know, the fact is most of us have insecurities of one kind or another, and either because of early life experiences maybe, or karmic tendencies that we brought with us from past lives. But like Dr. Brené Brown says, accepting our vulnerability and imperfections is what allows us to live wholeheartedly. When we can laugh at our own mistakes and blunders, we can stop worrying about upholding some ideal image of ourselves or trying to convince others of our self-worth. You ever catch yourself spending time doing that? What's more important is that we're honest with ourselves about who we are, about our values, and about our real motivations. So normally when we prepare talks or motivations or BBCs, as Abbey monastics, we're encouraged to talk about our own practice, our own hard-won experience. And so I will confess right up front that I'm not very good at laughing at myself. You may have noticed. I take myself pretty seriously at times. I can laugh. I used to watch America's Funniest Home Videos. That was one of my favorite shows. I can laugh, but sometimes I can take myself seriously. So this topic is a work in progress for me, and that's why it interests me. Just this morning, I had a slight sense of indignation over a decision that I thought should have been mine to make. And I knew that I was holding it too tightly. And so I went to my laughing coach, Venerable Nima, and I said, help me with this. I know I'm holding this too tightly and I need to let go. How do I think about this? And so she began pantomiming, creating a little fence around herself, you know, like with her fingers, like, don't come in my space, this is my territory, and don't even put your toe over here, I might bite it, you know. So just learning to look at what am I saying, what am I doing, and then just see the absurdity in it. And she and I were laughing right away. And then I could easily let it go. Recently, Venerable Samten gave a series of motivations and BBCs on humility that I found quite interesting. And so I did a little more reading on the topic, and I noticed that articles on humility consistently mentioned that humble people accept their own strengths and limitations without defensiveness or judgment. Real self-acceptance focuses our self-worth on our intrinsic value as a human being, you know, just being a human being rather than any external measures or like our looks or our career or our wealth or our fame, anything like that. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I still find it difficult to actually stop and think about my good qualities. How about you? If I asked you, can you list 10 good qualities about yourself right away, could you do it immediately? Because you're already familiar with it, you're already comfortable with it. So this is something to pay attention to really accept ourselves, and we need to know about our good qualities in a real honest way, not in a puffing up way, but in an honest way. We also need to know about our limitations as well, just as honestly. Often we're too down on ourselves and who we actually are. We create we create ideals for ourselves that we can't live up to. I know many of us set standards that are pretty high and difficult to achieve. We can't possibly meet them, and then we torture ourselves or punish ourselves when we can't meet them. The reality is that we all struggle with various issues and emotional traumas in one way or another, and we all struggle with afflictive emotions. That's something that we see when we have discussion groups on sharing the Dharma Day and retreats, that when we really can be honest with each other, we're all basically hardwired the same way, and we all have certain tendencies of deprecating ourselves. So we might try to hide our insecurities with an overdeveloped sense of pride. Sometimes that's the defense. And then it's really impossible to laugh at ourselves. We have strong conditioning, especially in this country, to be the best, to be the wisest, to be the most accomplished, the most intelligent. But there will always be people who are better than us or have more intelligence or more wealth or whatever the case may be. So that's a setup. One of my favorite quotes from Pema Chodron is, "Lower your standards and relax." And this has been very good advice that I've tried to follow at different times. It's real Buddhist wisdom. So making ourselves the butt of our own jokes helps us to keep our egos in check. Now, it's really important that we make jokes about ourselves, not about others. It's safe, you know. If we make jokes about ourselves, we're probably not going to offend anyone, but when we joke about others, it can easily be taken as offensive. And genuine humility keeps us from getting overly confident when things are going really well in our lives. So it seems that humor and humility go hand in hand. But knowing how and when to joke about our limitations and our weaknesses, you know, that actually shows a sense of self-confidence. So the Mayo Clinic says that a good laugh has some very tangible short-term effects. And as we find in a lot of our Buddhist studies, when we understand the benefits of something, we're more likely to engage in it. So laughter can stimulate our organs. It enhances our intake of oxygen, stimulates our heart and our lungs and our muscles, and increases endorphins released by the brain. It activates and releases our stress response. So a good belly laugh fires up and then cools down our stress response. And it can initially raise our blood pressure, but then actually lowers it. Laughter can also stimulate circulation and aid muscle relaxation, reducing some of the physical symptoms of stress. And laughter is also good for the long term as well. It improves our immune system by releasing neuropeptides that help fight stress and potentially more serious illnesses. Laughter may ease pain by causing the body to produce its own natural painkillers. Laughter can help lessen depression and anxiety and make us feel happier. It also makes us less sensitive to criticism, teasing, and other people's opinions. So those are some pretty good benefits to keep in mind. In addition, people tend to appreciate us when we know our own weaknesses and are not afraid to point them out about ourselves. So in this way, laughing at ourselves can actually build more self-esteem and helps us to accept ourselves as we are. So to be able to laugh at our mistakes and shortcomings, we need to begin by first treating ourselves kindly, which means accepting that we are a fallible, imperfect, constantly changing human being. Accepting this makes us more human and gives us the opportunity to keep growing. And laughing at ourselves is a lot more fun than not doing it. So we can look for reasons to laugh every day. I think His Holiness is a great example of someone who really enjoys and takes pleasure and delight in different things, and he has a great sense of humor. In fact, I think you can Google His Holiness Dalai Lama laughing, and there's a video of just him laughing, and it just is infectious. I remember seeing him at one talk approached the throne to do a teaching, and when he got to the top, he took delight in the fact that the cushion was bouncy, and so he stood there for a minute and bounced up and down. This is someone who takes himself very lightly, isn't it? I also think Venerable Chodron is a great example of someone who can poke fun at herself and others in a beneficial way. I remember when I first took teachings with her at Dharma Friendship Foundation in Seattle, no matter what crappy mood I was in when I got to the center, within a matter of 30, 40 minutes, Venerable had us all laughing at ourselves. Maybe you can think of other people who are really good at poking fun at themselves. I think President Obama was really good at being the butt of his own jokes. In fact, at his last White House Correspondents' Dinner, he made a statement that I thought was quite funny. He said, of course, he had started to gray, you know, he'd been in the White House for 8 years. He was 8 years older. He said, "I'm not the strapping young Muslim socialist I used to be." Politicians who can laugh at themselves are really a great example. Like Bill Clinton, I think, often takes the mickey out of himself, as Australians would say. Who else can you think of who's really good at poking fun at themselves? Anybody come to mind? You all don't get out much, do you? Okay, so, huh? Someone? Rodney Dangerfield. All right. So especially today in our current political climate, let's all look for the humor in ourselves, mostly, and in our situations as well. And if we look for it, we'll find it.